Yeah, starting now. Why not? Let me click on it so I'm in the same place as you guys. Ah, howdy. I'm so glad you could make it. We'll start easy for the stragglers. Let me turn that volume down. And here we go. This is footage of the Rimac. Have you seen it? The Nevera is out. This video comes courtesy of Drag Times. Let me move this. Perfect. This comes courtesy of Drag Times. This guy's channel has got just the craziest stuff. He gets his hands on everything, even if he has to buy it, sometimes it seems like. We're talking 3,000 horsepower as opposed to 1,000, which is, you know, fairly good. Yes, who is this? This is the live stream that you're looking for. Yeah, so that's good. Let me move this even further so I can see what I'm doing here. Yeah, that's fine. I can just do that. Okay. Yeah, this car is $2.5 million of engineering marvel and beauty. In the comments, there's a lot of complaints that the software is maybe not as sophisticated as you might hope, but it's a first iteration, and software is hard. I would rather they focus on, the good stuff, the performance, rather than the car, rather than the user interface. I'm not sure. I mean, the window doesn't even roll all the way down. If we're going to complain about stuff, I think that's a bigger complaint to most people, but this is not an everyday driver. Oh, and what a thing of beauty. What a thing of beauty. So, Pat, thank you for joining me. Pat has asked, I'd like to see Tesla build semiconductor plant on the property, more vertical integration, cut out the chip imports, expensive plants, but worth it. Thoughts? I've seen discussions about this, and the answer seems to be no, don't do it, because it's real difficult. Making a chip foundry is very, very hard. It would be better to maybe buy a small controlling, a small but important sized interest in an existing company so they could have priority. But beyond that, I just think it would be stretching their engineering skills too thin. Rob asks, has anyone heard anything about Gambit Energy? And I have not lately. Gambit Energy, for those who don't recall, is in Texas, and it's the power plant, the battery facility. Yeah, we don't see much about it. That is owned by Tesla. I believe it's either online or about to, and that it may be something quiet that we don't hear about too much, but I would definitely like to stay up to date on that. Howdy, Jason. Okay, another fun one. Fisker has announced start of production on the Fisker Ocean with some deliveries in the end of 2022 in the US and select European countries. That's great. Obviously, Fisker has their own history with Tesla, but that's fine. I'd like to see this product get out into hands, and I think the fact that they're actually reaching production is amazing. And I wish them all the best. So this is my fun for the week. Tesla claims 92% of battery cell material recovery in new recycling process. And more to the point, they confirm that 100% of scrap batteries are recycled, 0% end up in landfills. That takes a lot of criticisms away from the fudsters who like to say, oh, batteries are toxic and dangerous and deadly and all that good stuff. And they certainly have elements that you wouldn't like to have in your water supply, but that doesn't mean that they're going there. And a lot of people have talked about giving battery cells that come out of cars that now only have 40 or 50% capacity a second life as residential power, and that would be fantastic too. There's a lot of uses for these batteries, and there's a lot of valuable stuff in there that they'd like to recover. This doesn't surprise me. Rob, thank you so much. Mitridate. Meter date? Can't compete with Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, world's best by far. It's not just that, it's that semiconductor manufacturing is difficult. It's real hard. And it's something that would take years to set up. And the chip shortage is temporary. Hello, Bear. Good to see you. Exclusive, India considers import tax cut on EVs after lobbying from Tesla. Yeah. I've heard some speculation that their politicians are not the most ethical and scrupulous. And if that's the case, I can see why there would be a lot of foot dragging when it comes to things that are for the greater good. And the good news is VW has joined in the call for lower import tax on EVs in India. Guys, if your air is a mess and you want to do something about it, there's one way I can think of to do it. And that would be, pretty fantastic. Might want to get vehicle to grid going. Might want to get the Model 2 out. I think it would be great to have a plant in India so that they could do 100% of their right-hand drive cars in one country and not have to retool the other factories. I think that would save some time. So this is a fun chart. Let me see if I can make this a little smaller without screwing anything up. Electric and select ICE vehicle sales year to date. This is in Australia. And it's a weird chart because it leaves a lot of stuff out. But the fact that the Model 3 is outselling the Camry and catching up reasonably on the Corolla, we haven't even seen the Model Y come out. That will make for another interesting comparison. The Model Y should be out any day now. Let's get to there. Yeah, it's fine. Tesla sales in China expected to set new monthly record in August, according to an insider who's kind of an insider. He's not an insider within Tesla. He's an insider within the industry. I think that's absolutely possible. The only real constraint is battery capacity. As I said in the video just a few minutes ago, Shanghai is only at 80% capacity. And with new variants coming out and a greater emphasis on export, I can see this absolutely being the case. And Shanghai, I invested in Tesla on the strength of Shanghai about to be coming online. The Cybertruck hadn't been released. It was just a rumor at that point. It hadn't been unveiled. Obviously, it hasn't been released. And I said, based on the strength of Fremont and Shanghai, which hadn't been completed, but I was watching the footage every week, that the company would be a good investment. And I didn't expect Shanghai to go as well as it has. So that's, fantastic. I think most of the engines in India are two-stroke. Could definitely be wrong. Yes, but the engines this would be replacing wouldn't be those. Those are the very, very affordable engines. This would be competing against expensive imports. This would be competing against your Audis and your BMWs. Volkswagen CEO's vacation snafu led to a scathing review of a rival to Tesla's supercharging network, highlighting the tough road to electric car adoption. If you didn't catch it, this one, it was juicy. Herbert D's nuts went ahead and complained about Ionity because it's terrible. If you've seen any road trip videos, you know that that everyone who tries to use the Ionity and EVgo and Electrify America has found a lot of trouble with actually using them. A lot of broken stalls, a lot of difficulty getting the payments to authorize. It's a nightmare, and it's not working. And it remains a moat until later this year when Tesla is expected to begin opening up their charging network. Cost of setting up a foundry is $2 to $3 billion, so not worth it. And that doesn't assume, that's just the cost of the building and the equipment. That doesn't take into account the expertise that would be required, and to buy that expertise would be costly. Ford Mustang Mach-E orders meet 6-week delay over chip shortage. Ah, yes, as we were discussing, Pat. and others. Yeah, the chip shortage is a problem. And this takes me back to the folks who look at the Ford Lightning and say, oh, Ford's going to have no problem building as many as they want. And that's true once you realize they don't want to build very many. But if they wanted to electrify all of the F-150s, it would be a problem. That supply of batteries doesn't exist globally. And when it comes to chips, the supply does exist. You just can't get it. Same deal over here. What do we got? Volvo cars. Production is halted in Germany. So that is not how you build cars, by the way. You have to have all the parts and put them together in the correct order. So that's a problem. That's a problem. What do we got here? Nissan Leaf slashes price of base Leaf. Nissan slashes price of base Leaf to $28,375 and offers an $89 a month lease plan, which sounds fantastic because it is. That's as close to a free car as you're going to get. If I could get by on 5 seats, I would have one of these right now because that is stupid cheap. Too cheap, you might say. Makes me feel like I should run some numbers. Did I forget to run my numbers? There they are. So, if it's a 24-month lease at $89, which it is, with a upfront of $1,450, that means you're only spending $35.86 for the full 2 years, $150 a month. So, of that 28 grand, Nissan's still on the hook for $24,789 of it. And this 89 has got some interest built in. Even if it's their own money, there is a cost of floating that kind of cash. Are you telling me in 2 years this used Leaf is going to be worth 25 grand? It is not. The question isn't whether or not Nissan is losing money. The question is how much. And see a comment here: Nissan going out of business. I mean, it feels like it, because that is not how you sell a car. PhotoGib has said, I've heard 9 to 12 billion for complete development of a foundry. I would think that's more accurate, because forget, the land, that's cheap comparatively, and the building is probably the cheapest part of all. It's the equipment, and most importantly, the expertise. And the expertise is rare and expensive. When Tesla wanted to design their own FSD chip, they said, we're just going to design our own. It's too expensive to do otherwise. And they were called crazy because do you understand how few people there are alive with the skills to develop a chip of that capacity? And so what was it? AMD, they went and just recruited 8 of their top 10 guys or something like that. And that had to be expensive, but if they were paid in stock, they were paid well. Bear's Workshop, you left out tax on the lease. No EV rebate on the lease, and the car sucks. No one's going to argue the car doesn't suck, Bear. There is no My Nissan Leaf weekend. There is no Nissan Leaf daily. And there is a reason for that. But the tax, I don't know how the tax, you have to pay sales tax on the lease, don't you? Yeah, some states you might be able to get around that. I'm not sure how that works. You definitely don't get the credit, the tax credit. But even still, I mean, Nissan's just not doing well on that one. Not doing well on that one. Why, Nissan? Why? Because they can't sell them. I think that's the answer is if you price them, even priced at $28,375, I guess they just can't sell them. They just can't sell them. So that's, Think Tesla will ever be on the Dow? You mean as opposed to the NASDAQ? I don't see why it would need to be. Nissan is also in real bad shape. Bear says sales tax is monthly. Oh, really? Well, is it monthly on $89? Because if it is, it's another $10. Still, Nissan is stuck holding the bag for 25 grand on a 28 grand car. It's bad. It's real bad. Not genius, I guess. What else do you guys want to talk about? Anything? We got a couple minutes left. light news week compared to the month of news that I covered last week. But yeah. Tesla's FSD 14 nanometer chip. Okay. TSMC makes 5 nanometer chips like the M1 for Apple. Okay. I am not qualified to understand what to make of that. This is why on television programs that look similar to this, there's a producer feeding questions into the ear so that I don't have to make you experience the questions for the first time with me in real time. Sorry about that. Smash that like button. Oh, my friends, would you please? It would be so wonderful. It would be so wonderful. What are my thoughts on Tesla opening up the supercharger network to the competition? Okay, I covered this a while back, recently even, but it's a fantastic question and I love it. I hated the idea originally because it is their moat. But having been to a lot of superchargers and having seen a ton more on the recent road trip, they just aren't full. They're underutilized. And if you let the competitors use them at a premium, now your service centers, essentially, are a profit center regardless of who they bought the car from. So that's awesome. And this will also enable them to be eligible for the infrastructure funding to build out electrical charging for EVs. And there's no company, in my opinion, better poised to capitalize on growth in supercharger deployment. In EV charging deployment. If you may know, there's a factory in Shanghai, near Gigafactory, Giga Shanghai, that does nothing but build the superchargers. I understand they're also made in Giga New York, but the one in Shanghai, I assume, could ramp and produce at a vastly higher quality and quantity. Maybe not quality, but the Model 3 in China has a higher quality reputation than the Model 3 from Fremont. So possibly both. So I think it's fantastic. I think it's going to make a lot of money. I think it's going to not be as frustrating for Tesla owners as expected, especially if there's surge pricing for non-Tesla EVs. But the superchargers on weekends haven't been busy, on holiday weekends haven't been busy, since they introduced off-peak discounts, which pushed a lot of people to go to the superchargers when they were empty. And they're still building more, they're still rolling out more, and more places are getting them. And now Airbnb even has a filter where you can select, I want to go to a place that has charging. So I think it's an absolute winner for sure. Nissan's EVs need a booster shot. They need a defibrillator. They need something. I think I've heard Tesla say the supercharger network was intended as a break-even service. Maybe opening it up changes that. It absolutely will, because using it doesn't impose a lot of wear and tear. And if you're charging a premium to non-Teslas, it has the potential to be a moneymaker. And it said that they may even charge more to ones that are to vehicles that charge especially slowly. So if you've got something with a ginormous battery like a Hummer that may not be able to charge at the advertised rates, you could make some money there. You could make some money. But I think just getting everybody able to use the same charger is going to be a net win for EV adoption overall. At least Nissan is not in denial about BEVs like Toyota seems to be. Toyota is in denial. Having the Prius, as long ago as they did, I was just sure they were going to be the industry leader. And then when Nissan came out with the Leaf, which was selling like crazy, I was just sure they were going to be the industry leader. What is going on? Who is this? Same time next week? Yes, that is the plan. I hope to continue doing these at 8 p.m. Every Friday. Every Friday. Got to get back to my weekend roots, man. Got to get back to my weekend roots. Any other questions before we wrap it up? I would, as always, like to thank my Patreons. And I mentioned this in something where I said that for real, I could not have done the road trip without my Patreons. So that was really awesome of them, and thank you for that. And it was awesome. If you guys haven't checked out in the comments there, Bear's Workshop is in here visiting, and I got to meet with him. And we might just have an interview coming up that was already filmed. That'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see. And by the way, my lighting is off a bit because it is hot, and I have to turn the fan off, and so I'm not going to turn on all the lights. It's punishing. It's punishing. Any other questions? Any other questions? You shall continue to tune in because no life. Hey, man. This can be your life. Why not? Like my squeaky chair? I gotta replace that. Gotta replace that. When Tesla improves their worst experience charging locations so Tesla owners have confidence, the opening may go smoothly. Yeah, there's still room to improve. There's still room to improve. And for all the complaints about Tesla, if those complaints didn't exist, the other car makers would already be out of business. Fixing things like panel gaps is easy compared to inventing things like EVs. And if you've seen Sandy Munro's teardowns, you know Ford is second best, but it's such a distant second, it's pretty much laughable. 5 days until AI Day. I am looking forward to that. Next, U.S. Gigafactories. I don't think there will be another one announced because there's so much capacity still left in Austin. So with that, I'm going to head out. Thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you around. Leave me comments if you didn't catch this live next Friday, 8 o'clock. Why not? Let's do it. Talk to you then.